Hello, everyone. My name is Marilla Montgomery, and I am a member of the Concord Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I will be your moderator for this evening. And before we turn it over to our presenter, I would like to acknowledge our president, Sarah Bridget Herring Williams, and our VP, Sarah Elaine Johnson. And if she's ready, I will turn it over to our presenter, Miss Diana Williams, the founder and executive director of Fearless Brown Girls.
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be with you tonight. And so I really appreciate the opportunity to come and speak. We're going to have a really great conversation and talk about unlearning our money habits. One second, and I'm going to share my screen. Good to go. All righty. And so, as I just said, tonight we're going to talk about unlearning your money habits. I have a separate screen, so you'll see my face move back and forth. On this first screen here, just quick introduction about myself. So I am Diana Williams again. I'm from Wallace, North Carolina, which is a small rural town. I'm in Eastern North Carolina. And this is where my money story began. Nobody talked about money in Wallace. And the most that my dad said about money was make sure you save something for a rainy day. The end. I navigated to UNC Greensboro, majored in accounting, but before all of that, my first week or two on campus, I was applying for a credit card for a t-shirt. And I was able to secure a $5,000 credit card from Bank of America. And so again, freshman in school, just turned 18 because my birthday's in August. And I didn't have no job, but I was getting these credit cards. And so anybody in the room, I remember when the lenders were on the campus giving us all these incentives to apply for credit cards and basically being predatory and getting us hemmed up. Yes, Duplin County. And so what that looked like is that was the start, applying for those credit cards, and leveraging them to basically survive in college. That was the start of the money lessons that I was going to learn. And so my first hard lesson was graduating during the recession in 2009, again with an accounting degree and unable to secure a job. I was sitting across from a young lady at State Employees Credit Union, and she shared with me because of your bad credit, she could not hire me. And so no one, again, had talked to me about money. And so I'm like, wait, I can't get a job because of my credit. But no, you can't work in financial services with bad credit. And so turned things around, went to East Carolina, moved to Charlotte, spent a lot of time in corporate, in various roles, working at various banks. And then I became an entrepreneur in 2019, 2020 era. And so with Diana being company, I helped I helped my therapists and private practice owners manage their business financials. And then I also founded Fearless Brown Girls, which is a nonprofit here, teaching high school girls how to become financially confident and independent. And so I've always been around the conversation of money. Now I get to speak to it on the other side and actually help people with their money mindset while also holding them accountable from an accounting and tax standpoint. And then I just also included some of my interests. And as you can see, most of these things cost money. And so we'll talk about what that looks like later on in the presentation. Today's focus, we're going to talk about identifying limiting beliefs about money, breaking generational cycles, our scarcity mindset, and how we can transition that to abundance, replace bad habits with smart money strategies, take control of your financial future, and we're going to have fun. And again, we're going to converse and have a conversation. And also, as we talk tonight, I don't want you to just listen. I want you all to reflect and think about how you're feeling, like as we're having this conversation, and pay attention to what comes up for you. Your money mindset did not appear overnight. We're not going to fix it tonight. But as I shared in my introduction, our mindset was shaped by people in our lives, experiences, various messages that were sent, whether it was directly or indirectly through their behaviors, and also fear, shame, and survival. And so what I could speak to going back to those college days was as I got wrapped up in the madness of that because of survival, and not just splurging all the time, once you're in it, it's like, wait, who's going to help me out of it? And you don't want to tell anybody about it. So this is why unlearning our money habits matters, because the only way you're going to get out of it is to start unlearning some of those habits and starting to talk about it. So as I said, I want you all to reflect, think about some of these questions that you see on the screen. How does this make you feel? What is your first instinct or gut reaction whenever I say one of the habits that we're unlearning tonight? Where did you learn this behavior or this belief? Who or what taught you that these things were normal? And then lastly, is this habit serving your future or is it holding you back? So we're going to start with the bonus. Normally the bonus is at the end, but we're going to start with it at the beginning. And reason being is because I need us to learn, I need us to unlearn that talking about money openly is a bad thing. So again, transparent and vulnerable conversations is the only way that we're going to get out of our cycle of bad habits. It's going to help us realize that we're not alone. Typically, you're going through some type of circumstance that maybe one of your friends has been through, or maybe a family member is going through. But because we're all hush hush and quiet and we're not talking about it, nobody knows, and you just think that you're the only person in it. Obviously, we have to use discretion when we're talking about these things, but what I really want us to take away from this is that it's okay to talk about money and salaries and investing and things like that, because it may be that someone has already experienced where you are and they can share how they navigated that experience and help you get out of it. But you'll never know if we don't talk about it. So tonight we're going to practice. This is a conversation. I want us to talk to each other. I want us to talk in the chat, and I'm going to try to talk and read what's going on in the chat. And then also, we're not going to tell our business. We'll tell our friends' business. So don't talk about anything personal. Just tell us stories that you've heard from your friends. And if you have a question, you can ask on behalf of your friend and not yourself. And I will do the same. Deal? Everybody good with that? Oh, I see somebody's from Willard. All right. So not talking about money openly. Someone shared with me a couple of money lessons that you wish you had learned earlier. I already shared one. I wish I knew that credit card debt was going to interfere with my livelihood in the very beginning, and I would have made some different decisions. So what are some lessons that you all wish you had learned earlier? Let me get like two people.
I can say something. I wish that growing up, I learned how to save. I feel like I would have more more money saved now, especially with trying to retire at an earlier age. As we get older, we decide, oh, I might want to retire before I'm 65, but do I really have the funds to retire because I didn't save the way I should have growing up because I wasn't taught to save?
Exactly. Yep, that was good. Thank you for that. Anybody else?
I can share. So mine, somebody wrote in the chat, is the 401k. So my mother just retired and she told me like that is definitely something important to look out for as I'm young in my career. So definitely the importance of saving and investing in the 401k at my different jobs.
Absolutely. And one thing I'll say about that is because I was a job hopper. And when you leave those jobs, do not take your 401k, roll it over and allow that money to continue to accumulate, because to the points that you all made when it comes to savings and 401k, time is of essence. That money has to sit there and it has to grow. And that's probably a lesson I wish I had learned too. When I was 22 to 24 years old, getting into my career and making money, had I known to invest that money, well, even let's go back before that. Student loan money, refunds. Had we known to save that money in the form of investments, we probably all would have really nice returns today to pay said student loans off. So that's actually one of the lessons that I frequently think about. Marilla, did you have something?
Well, I was just going to respond. There is a lot of people responding in the chat, and someone mentioned the importance of savings outside for a used car,
Mm,
I saw someone else say they wish they learned how to buy stocks. They wish they learned about life insurance policies at a younger age. So,
yes, all of those are really, really good. Thank you all for sharing those. All right, so habit one, wearing struggle as a badge of honor. So most of us are, I'm sure most are Black women on this call. And so number one, what we all can resonate with is the strong Black woman syndrome. Getting it out the mud, doing all the things on your own, and not really seeking help and support from people, right? And so that is one of the main ways that we end up in financial hardship. But because we're so strong and we're so prideful and we're able to pretty much solve most of the problems that we face, we think that that's the case with money. But sometimes that cycle and that spiral just gets bigger and bigger. And so one of the things I want to talk about for this one is some phrases and things that you heard growing up about money that still sticks with you today in terms of when we think about wearing struggle as a badge of honor.
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Question is, what are some phrases that you heard growing up about money that still sticks with you today? So someone said, save your money and don't buy what you want, buy what you need.
Money don't grow on trees.
Money does not grow on trees. Yes.
You got food at
Money.
home?
Say that one more time.
You got food at home?
Mm, yes, that one, because we love eating out. Here's a good one. Can't take it to the grave with you. And save up for a rainy day. Yes. All of those are good, but if we're honest, some of them set us up for the okie doke, right? And when we think about financial struggle, again, those messages that we heard, you can't take it to the grave with you. And I think my cousin said her grandmother says you never seen a U-Haul behind a hearse at a funeral. And so when you think about that, it's like that mindset does not say save, invest, make good financial decisions, set yourself up for your future. It does none of that. In fact, it makes you spend. It makes you think that I'm supposed to just do whatever I want because I'm gonna die one day and I can't take it with me. So financial ease, collaboration, and being a good planner is going to be very powerful when we think about unlearning. Somebody said YOLO, you only live once. That's a really good one. Unlearning some of those struggle messages that people have spoken around us and that we carried into our adulthood mistakenly. We didn't mean to, it wasn't our fault, but now we have to fix that. And so on the screen, on the presentation, what I didn't say earlier is that you'll see unlearn, reframe, and action. So one of the ways that you unlearn these behaviors or these thoughts is to reframe them. So success doesn't require struggle. We can leverage support and strategy. Think about, again, the women in your life. Think about financial advisors, accountants, tax professionals, a lot of those people that sometimes we don't take advantage of because we feel like it's going to put restrictions on us and then we can't live like we want to live, right? And then I have an action step for you. So choose rest, Black women, and delegate over doing it all yourself. Get someone to help you through any of your financial struggles. It may cost you something and it may not, but it's worth the investment if it's going to help you unlearn some of those habits that you've developed. And now you see they are interrupting how you're able to live financially in your adult life now. All right, our second habit is thinking wealth is not for us. So we know the statistics. Most of you have probably seen that by 2053, the Black household wealth is expected to be zero. A lot of you have probably heard of the racial wealth gap, and that's where the Black community is hundreds of years behind our white counterparts. And a lot of that is due to systemic barriers and public policies and things that have been put in place by the government. Subconscious beliefs make us think that wealth is only for white, wealthy, and privileged families. And so what I'm here to debunk is that that's not true. One, we got to think about Black Wall Streets, right? There was a time where we had all the things, barbershops, salons, grocery stores, movie theaters, bus systems, all the things. And so it's not true that wealth is not our birthright, but unfortunately, we do have to put things in place to now get there and create that for ourselves. I want to talk about exposure. Exposure is very important when we think about unlearning the fact that wealth is not for us. There are a lot of people that look like us that are very wealthy that belong to your organization. When we think about representation, representation lets us know what is possible for us, right? So we have to unlearn the noise, get in rooms and environments where we see examples and strategy that's being given, take advantage of the strategy and implement those things. When it comes to social media, make sure you're following reputable people and not just people that are showing you great content, but people that you can see really model what they are teaching you. And so for this one, I really just want us to take a deep breath. And I'm going to give you a few affirmations, and I would love for you all to repeat them to yourself. So the first one is, wealth is possible for me. The second one is, wealth is my tool. Wealth creates options and opportunity for me and my family. Financial power belongs to me, and I know what to do with it. And the last one, my legacy will be built on wisdom, not struggle. And these are the things you have to do. Affirmations, unlearning that what you think is not for you because you haven't seen it or because of your circumstances don't say so, it's not true. I just told you while I was from a very small town, I don't know a millionaire from Wallace. I'm sure there probably are some, but growing up, we didn't see them. It wasn't until college and moving to Charlotte and traveling that I was able to experience like, oh, wait, this is another Black female and she got it going on. And I'm able to see that that is possible for me. That is possible for my family. And that is possible for the children that I'll have, the grandchildren that I have, and so on. And so, again, unlearning that wealth is for them. Wealth is not where you come from. It is about what you create in your life. And the action step is to get in a room with or follow wealthy women who look like you. And I'm gonna take it a step further and say, try to engage and see if they can help you with the strategies that you need to get it going for you in your life. Any comments or questions about that before we move to the next one? All right, our third habit is confusing income with wealth. So thinking your salary defines your financial success or health. That is something that we have to unlearn because it's just not true. I would love for everybody to drop a hand in the chat if you, not you, but someone you know, makes really good money and lives paycheck to paycheck. And I'm gonna raise my hand. I know a few people. And I see some yeses and some thumbs up in the chat. And so true wealth is measured by our net worth. Your net worth is what you own minus what you owe. And so if you were to sell everything that you have, your house, your cars, liquidate your investment accounts, take out your savings, and then pay off all of your debts. So let's think about loans, student loans, your house, your cars, credit cards, whatever amount of money that you have left is your net worth. So literally someone could have a net worth of $25,000, but you could make $150,000 a year, right? So your high income does not define your financial success. In fact, it is one of those habits that tells us, I make good money, I'm gonna get paid in a couple weeks. I'm good. But as we can see in the current climate, we might not have our high salary tomorrow. And so that's why it's important to make sure we're putting money away. Everybody talked about it, the 401ks, our savings accounts, investings, and things like that to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success. Our paycheck, in terms of reframing, funds our lifestyle. That helps us with our day-to-day, right? But our wealth is what's going to fund our independence. So when we think about retirement, and we talked to some people mentioned it earlier, having money for retirement and being able to live and not have to go to work after you retire. I'm sure all of us know older people or even our parents who have retired, but now they have to have part-time jobs because there's not enough income coming in to satisfy the lifestyle that they have. And so that's not what we want. That's why we need to create the wealth to create that independence so that when we're done working, we're done working. And prayerfully, we don't have to wait till 65, 70 years old to experience that. And so one of the things I want you all to do, if you have not done it, is calculate your net worth. And you can do that by, again, taking all of the assets that you own, the value of those things, and then subtract all of the money that you owe in terms of your liabilities, your house, your cars, and any loans that you have. And what you will have left over is your net worth. And so we want to get that number as high as possible because that means that we are not over leveraging debt. And then we're going to talk about debt in this next slide, not at the end. One second. All right, so thinking debt is inevitable. So y'all ever heard anyone say, I'm gonna always owe somebody? And I'm even guilty of saying it when it comes to my student loans. I've said my student loans are going to heaven with me because I don't know how they're going to get paid back. But the truth is that we have to unlearn that thought process. Debt is not inevitable. Debt is a tool that we should be leveraging for our benefit and creating assets that make us more money. So a quick check-in. If I handed you all $5,000 right now, what would you do with it? Would you A, pay down your debts? Would you B, put it in savings? Would you C, invest it? Or D, would you treat yourself? And so I'm gonna go through those again. A, pay down debt, put it in savings, B, C, invest it, or D, treat yourself. So I see we have a couple of responses. Debt and invest, debt, invest, have, I would do a mixture. Yes. And a mixture is really what I wanted you all to get at. Whenever you get a lump sum of money, I understand that our first instinct is to always pay down debt. And that is because we have, one, accumulated the debt, but also we let it just run our lives in not a good way, right? And so the truth is that paying down some debt, putting it in savings, investing it, and treating yourself are all possible if we have a plan for it. But also, let's think about this. If we take out debt for an Airbnb, that is hopefully a debt that is also creating money for you every month, right? And so when we think about leveraging debt as a tool, that's what I'm talking about. So now when someone gives you money, you can pay down debt on that Airbnb, but you also can put some money away because you're not pressed about the debt, because you know that that debt is working for you and earning you more money. You'll also invest it because, again, you're not pressed about your debt because it is a tool that you are leveraging to make you more money. And now we have other income sources coming in so that we can also treat ourselves. And we don't have this guilty feeling about, man, I just went and bought this thing and I really should have paid off my debt. So if we really change the way that we're leveraging debt and use it for a resource or a tool to make us more money and not to overconsume, then that will change how we view it whenever it's time to face it. Our next habit is budget plus financial planning equals restriction. So has anybody ever heard someone say budgets are for broke people? LaShawn, you have a question? Okay, we'll come back to LaShawn.
Well, Diane,
Oh, go ahead.
before you start on budgetings, Angelica Johnson said that a friend told her there's good and bad debt. Is that a real thing? Would you mind addressing that before you move forward?
Oh, yeah, sure. So whenever we talk about good debt versus bad debt, that is one of those things, right? So our bad debt, when we think about store credit cards, do we really need store credit cards? Probably not. Now, if we're leveraging them for the points and the coupons and things, and we're doing it correctly and we're paying off those cards immediately, then sure. But most people aren't taking advantage of it in that way. Now, good debt, some of us would say our student loan debt may have been good because some of us might not have been able to go to college without it. And then it afforded us the opportunity to have the careers that we have and earn the salaries that we have. And, we can get into whether or not that was a good investment or not. But when I think about good debt, that would be one of those things. Another form of good debt, the loans that we get for our houses. Most of us aren't paying cash for our houses. And so that's where we have to leverage that debt to get our homes. And hopefully a lot of us have equity in our homes. So when we think about, again, net worth, that money, that equity that you have in your home, that's a part of getting you on the positive side of that. So you could pay your loan off and have a couple $100,000 that could be paid out to you. In today's home prices, you're gonna put it towards another house probably. But depending on your situation, that is a way that you could leverage that money. And so those are some examples of good debt versus bad debt. With a question in the chat, with the economy looking like it might take a downturn, should that change what we do with any lump sums of money versus when the economy looks good? That is a good question that I'm going to talk about. We can talk about it now, actually, during the budget and financial planning. And so what I'm going to say to that is right now, with the market going crazy, you have a lot of people yelling and screaming at you to go invest, right? But what's also not being said or asked is, do you have an emergency fund? Do you have money set aside for 3 to 6 months of expenses to maintain your household if you were to lose your income? And if the answer is no, then we might have to take a step back and think about how we're leveraging lump sums of money. Should we throw it all in the market for it to fluctuate up and down? Because some things in the market, depending on how you invest, like if we think about a 401k, that's a long game. That money is to sit there for years and years and years, not for you to be able to take out tomorrow. But if you lose your job next week, you're going to need to have money on hand, readily available for you to live immediately as soon as your paycheck stops. So when you think about lump sums of money, I'm going to get into that in a second about the different accounts that you can have. We really want to prioritize and think about what's important in this very moment. If I don't even know how to invest and I don't have a savings account, that's what I'm going to tell you to do with your lump sum of money. But real quick, let's talk about budgets. So what do you all think and feel about budgets? Is it a negative word to you? Is it a positive word? Do you do it? Do you know how much money you spent last month? Or is the math just mathing and everybody got paid and you just good? So what I love is that most people have said it is positive. One person says not negative, but it is hard to budget. I think it's beneficial when you use it correctly. Yes. And so what I'm going to say about a budget is it's a plan. It's a financial plan. Financial plans are tools. It gives us permission to, one, pay yourself first. And when I say pay yourself first, I mean put money into your emergency fund, travel fund. If you have an allowance account, do those things. We need to have bill accounts. And so back to that question about lump sums of money, have multiple accounts and assign a job to those accounts. And so that way, when you're dispersing your money and you're going through your budget, You don't have no guilty feelings. You don't have a lack mindset when it comes to your needs versus your wants, because you have an established budget around your income that allocates line by line the things that you're going to do with your money. It gives you checkpoints. It gives you a plan. It allows you to do things that you want. And so in a world where we always are constantly owing somebody, we got to pay bills, it seems like every day. You want to have the opportunity to have some type of account with some money in it where it's like, okay, this is my play account. I can go to brunch today. We can go shopping and have a good time, right? So it helps you stop treating savings as an option. That's the other thing I feel like budgets do. Because when it's mapped out and I know that this amount of money is going into my savings account, this amount of money is going towards tithes or giving, this amount of money is going towards travel. So when my girl asked me, can we go to Africa next year? It's a yes. I can look at my travel account and see that I've saved up 5K. And now I don't have to worry about, dang, how am I going to save up this money and have this deposit ready by the time they need it? That's what budgets are for. Someone said, make my money behave. Exactly. That's exactly what you're doing, giving it a job. And so one of the action steps I want you all to take away from this is open multiple accounts and assign them a purpose. Another thing I'm going to tell you to do, because I'm talking to myself and my best friend and your friends, what are some small expenses and subscriptions that you have not canceled that you should have canceled probably a year ago? Someone said Apple Music. I can't get rid of Apple Music. Peloton is a great one. I know some Pelotons that have sats and sats. Someone said, not my prime. Savage Fenty is a good one too. And so it's things like that. When you sit down, I like to call them money dates. Have a money date with yourself and make it around your payday. And really sit with, okay, am I paying for things? Planet Fitness is a really great one. $10 a month. Nobody's missing that. And so if you sit down with yourself, have a money date, and actually go through your budget, go through your bank account and see the things that's coming out. Look at your credit card statements. See some of those transactions that are going through, and you'll realize you have paid these people hundreds of dollars unintentionally, and all because you are not taking a moment to really have a financial plan with yourself and really sit with budgeting. Budgeting does not have to be restrictive. It can really open up doors for you, and help you create plans to do all the things that you want to do. So that was good. I appreciate y'all's feedback on that. And then our sixth habit, it is downplaying financial boundaries. So one thing that's very prevalent in our community is feeling guilty. If you are the one in your family that has gone off and done well for yourself, you make really good money, and people feel like they can come to you when it's time to leverage your money for their poor planning. And don't be single with no kids, because you're definitely the one, right? And so I would love to hear a few people share, what is your go-to excuse for when you don't want to lend someone money?
Well, for me, when they be like, can I borrow, even my mom, can I borrow this until tomorrow? I'd be like, if you can wait till tomorrow, you don't need to borrow it today.
Exactly. That's so true. So some people said I don't have it or I ain't got it.
I don't make up anything. I just flat out say no.
Yeah. I'll just say no, and I'll let them know. Just because I don't have kids doesn't mean I don't have bills. I get so tired of hearing that one.
Oh my God. Same, same. And then someone said, what do you need it for?
My
And we have someone that said, I usually just lend it.
my go-to is that I don't lend money. If I can't afford to give it away, I don't lend money. And right now I can't afford to give it away. So that's my personal policy. I don't hesitate to tell people that I don't believe in loaning money.
Yeah.
So if it can't be a gift, you can't have it.
I love that. And you must can read my notes because that's exactly what I was going to say. Saying no is not selfish. And we have to learn that the first priority, the first person we have to look out for, especially when it comes to money, is ourselves. And so all of that credit card debt I told y'all about, what I did tell you is that some of that credit card debt is not even my debt. Some of that debt is my mother's. Some of that debt is helping some friends and some family members when I was in my early 20s and should have never been the person that they were asking. And so that was also another hard lesson. Once I got older and got untangled from all of that, I really had to say, like, all of these people I was helping are not the same individuals that I can now call on if I need help. So we also got to think about it from that perspective. And again, putting yourself first, putting your goals first, and understanding that if it is not money that you can give away, AKA never receive it back. If you are not okay with that, then you do not need to give it. And then another way that I like to put it is if you can't give it to them cheerfully, because I've also gone against my boundary and given it, and then I had a whole attitude. And it's like, well, girl, you could have just said no. And then you feel uncomfortable about asking for your money back. So now we have a whole nother situation going on, right? And so I want us to make sure we are establishing financial boundaries. Write down one area where you have been overgiving and overextending yourself and taking on other people's responsibility. Because the truth is that their poor planning should never become your emergency. And it should not take away from what you have going on and some of the goals that you have going on. And especially in today's climate, we all need every dollar that we bring into our households. So people get upset when you ask for your money back. Exactly. Exactly. Any other comments or things people want to share? Any other excuses? For those of you that struggle with the no, I would love to hear from you.
And Diane, I did want to piggyback on what you just said too about how like some of the debt wasn't your debt, it was your mom's. And I wish that there was a way that children
Mm,
growing
mm,
up can be protected from that because we we accumulate debt even before we're old enough to be able to accumulate debt because our parents have put something in our names and things. And
mm,
so you think, and I'm being very transparent. I was buying my first house and had a charge on my credit. I had no idea that I had because one of my parents had put a bill or in my
mm.
name and they never paid it. So
Yep,
I had to pay that off, a credit card off before I could even pay for put my down payment on my house and move forward with the process.
yep. That is so true. And unfortunately, it's still happening today. I literally have girls who are in high school who come to our financial literacy classes and they ask us those questions. Well, what if my mom did this? And what if this? And I'm like, that is still happening today, unfortunately. So yes, that's a thing. And someone in the chat said that it ruins relationships. It absolutely does. Because the moment I learned how to say no, everything switched up. And it's unfortunate, but it's one of those things that grows you up really quickly. And you realize, again, looking out for yourself versus the benefits of everyone else. Because when the tables turn, they don't care about what you got going on. And you just have to figure it out. To Marilla's point, you just got to pay that bill off because you're trying to do something else like buy a house. Someone said they had lights in their name at 3 years old. Yeah. So the last habit we're going to talk about is wants without a plan. So one of my questions is, which one of these options feels more familiar to you? I treat myself and regret it later. I want to treat myself, but I never do it. And then the last one is I plan for it and enjoy it fully. Who resonates with I treat myself and regret it later? Someone tell me about that. So I see some people say the first one. What about it do you regret?
I can say something. So for me personally, I'll just use my credit card. I'll regret the debt that's accumulating. But do I regret it in the moment? No.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I get it. I've done that too. What about I want to treat myself, but I never do it? Someone speak to that.
Well, I'll speak on
I,
that. No mind.
Okay.
For me, I have a 2-year-old. Well, he's 2.5. So if I go to the store, if I see something that I really, really need, I'll be like, Cameron, daycare might be coming up, or he might need some more pull-ups, or I think about everything else. Like I went without getting my hair done and my nails done because in my head, I have a busy 2-year-old that might need something. So I just don't do it.
Mm-hmm. And
and
so we
I'm
got to
with
get a
her
plan
as well.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, go
sorry.
ahead.
Sorry, I'm with her as well. I have a 4-year-old and a 9-year-old, and they grow like weeds.
Yeah.
So my husband and I definitely don't buy clothes like I used to, and or shoes either. So I feel like they're growing out of their stuff. So yeah, I don't buy as much for myself right now.
Okay. Thank you both for sharing. What about I plan for it and enjoy it fully? No planners?
That would be me. I have a finance background too, but what I will say is that before I do anything, all of my bills are paid. So whatever I have left, that's mine. I can do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So what I love about all three of these points is one, I knew they were going to resonate with all of us. I definitely knew B was going to be for our moms. And what I'm going to say to that is let's think about food for a second. So when we think about nutrition, have you ever heard someone say, like a financial coach or nutritionist say that all foods fit? Anybody heard that? And if you haven't heard it before, what it means is that in order to accomplish your your physical goals, you don't have to eat this restrictive diet 100% of the time, every single day. If you are eating really well and healthy for your body type and for your goals 80% of the time, if you slip and have a donut, you're probably going to be okay. Or if you have a plan for it, if you're counting your macros and you understand, like, all right, within these 2,000 calories today, I got to hit this number for protein, this number for fat, and this number for carbs. I know I'm going to brunch today, so that's giving waffles, pancakes, and all the things. Then I got to make some adjustments for the rest of my calorie count or macro count for the rest of the day so that you're not over, right? The same applies for your money. So we just talked about budgeting and creating a plan. If we have a plan around paying our bills, again, giving and tithing, saving and investing, having an allowance account, that was one of the ways I did it, like Marilla talked about. I sent a couple $100 to that account every paycheck. Now, once it's gone, it's gone. But that was that allotted money for me to be able to do things that I wanted to do without feeling the guilt of like, oh, well, I need to take care of this thing over here. Well, we've already taken care of that thing because we have a line item for it on our budget. And so even for our moms, y'all are the main ones that I hope take a second to create these multiple accounts to make sure that you have an account for you and your spouse if you have one. Because yes, the kids are going to grow and we're always going to need something and all the things. That's what emergency funds are for. That's what that variable savings account is for. That's going to happen, but we can't not enjoy life and forfeit joy. So that's why your reframing is you don't have to sacrifice joy. You just have to plan for it. And for your action step, pick one thing that you want, whether it's a trip, a bag, or whatever it is, big or small, and create a savings plan to get it. The first time I wanted to buy a luxury bag, I said, okay, my bills have to be paid, my debt has to look this way. I have to have this amount of money in the bank, because I wanted to be able to buy the bag and not ever think about it for a second, the money that I spent. I had a plan for it. So once it happened, I was good and I moved on with life and everything else was taken care of. So again, everything can fit, just like food, all of the expenses can fit if we plan for it. Now, you might not get it in 30 days and you might not get it this year, but if we plan for it, you will get it. And so that's what I want your takeaway to be, is that needs and wants have a place. And I don't want us forfeiting joy because of what we got going on financially, because we all need a little more joy right now in this current climate. So what we have talked about are these 7 habits that are here. And so as we've navigated the conversation, I appreciate you all engaging with me, talking in the chat, or talking in the chat, but also coming off of mute. And I hope that you reflected and realized that a lot of unhealthy money habits that we have are rooted in fear, shame, and survival. They are messages that we got from the people in our lives or the experiences that we had, or messages that we've picked up along the way. We have to unlearn the noise. It's a lot of noise out there right now, and we have to unlearn it and unpack it so that we can do things differently. And so, which money habit are you going to unlearn? I would love for 2 people to come off of mute and share which habit resonated with you most that you're going to work on unlearning when we leave here today.
Once without a plan for me.
That's a good one. Anyone else?
I would say downplaying financial boundaries. I think that also, not just with other people, but with myself, because I have to tell myself no as well and be disciplined. So that one resonated with me.
Yeah. That's such a good point, that we also have to say no to ourselves. Especially because I resonated with the young lady that mentioned, I'll just throw it on my credit card. I've done that before. I'll put it on my credit card, I'll pay it off, whatever, and move on. And depending on the time that I was in, the era I was in my life, it may didn't go like that. There's been times where I have paid everything down to zero, pay it every month, and I'm good. I know I have friends that are paying for their weddings with credit card points. So you can leverage debt for the benefit of traveling and getting things. Like, it can be useful if you are using it the correct way. But when life happens and it's like, oh, I can just make that minimum payment, and then you realize a year later you still making that minimum payment and you pay way more for that item. And so that is a really good one. Saying no to yourself. Someone said I did that today. Anybody else want to share one of the habits you're going to work to unlearn?
I was gonna say confusing income with wealth. I feel as though with me graduating and soon to be experiencing like my first big girl job, I don't want to get too comfortable in numbers and think that it's just kind of okay to just go ahead and splurge, because that would be the best idea.
Yep. And that is a big one for some of the newer graduates and those that are entering the workforce, because you're making salaries that some of us took 10, 15 years to make. And so that is a lot of money for a 24-year-old in that early 20 range. And so you definitely want to make sure that you're getting support and help when it comes to managing your salary, because it can get out of hand when you're making that type of money and you're just spending and spending, and then one day you are 35 or 45 and you realize, like, wait, I'm this many years away from what retirement looks like. And like we started out the conversation with, I have not planned to get older and need money. And so it don't seem like a big deal when you in your 20s, but time is of essence when it comes to building wealth.
Diana, I want to echo that. I know, and I'm looking at the screen and see a lot of familiar names. There are a lot of young people on this line. But as a seasoned person, my advice to you, young folks who are making good incomes, start planning for your 65-year-old self, your 70-year-old self, your 80-year-old self today. Just as much as you love yourself today, you have to love yourself then. And you have to start looking out for that lady that you're going to become, whatever your circumstances are, and realize life is seasonal. There's a point in your life where you're in your acquisition phase of life. For those moms who have young children, I am now an empty nester. I want to say it gets better. But the common theme is start investing. The one regret I have, because Jewel mentioned it, and I love what she said. I had to meet with my financial advisor and I asked him a question. Can I stop working at 59 and a half? What does my financial picture look like at 62? What does it look like at 65? And he had to break it down to me that some of these goals I had were unrealistic. What I did not know as a 50, soon to be 54-year-old lady in my 20s is that, yes, I saved in my 401k, but nobody ever taught me to open a brokerage account and start investing in that fund in my 20s or my 30s. I promise you, if I did that, I would not have to work another day in my life at 54. So start taking care of that 54-year-old person that you today, young people.
That is so good. Thank you for that. I don't have nothing else to say.
Did she say a brokerage account?
Yes. Yep.
Besides a 401k and a brokerage account, is there other accounts that we should also consider that can accumulate money over time as well?
Yep. So when it comes to your 401k, there's also a Roth. And the difference is with your 401k, that account is tax deferred. So what that means is you will pay taxes on it later. So when you get to retirement age and you are taking those distributions from the money that you saved over the years, you'll pay taxes later. So whatever the tax rate is then, years from now, that's what will happen. But if you do a Roth and contribute to that, then those taxes are being taken out today and that money gets to grow and accumulate tax-free. And so you want to do a combination of both. It's good practice to kind of have a combination of both of those because obviously paying tax, you got to look at your income, again, consult with an advisor and figure out what's best for you and your financial situation today. Life insurance policies are a big thing as well. That's something that we lack in terms of our community, thinking about policies that have cash benefits later. So that would be something that I would also recommend looking into. And then someone mentioned high yield savings accounts, especially right now, pretty much since COVID era, the rates have been pretty decent. And so getting your money out of a traditional savings account at your bank and putting it in a high yield savings account where you can get, I'm not sure what the rate is today, but I think the highest rate I've seen was 4. And it may have gone up before in the last couple of years, but that's a really good way too for the money that's just sitting there. So when you think about your emergency fund, throw it in a high yield savings account because that's not something we're leveraging all the time anyway. Put it in an account that you do not see and put it in an account where it's hard to get the money out. Because if it's easy for you to transfer the money back and forth, then that's what you'll do. So you want to, again, with that saying no to yourself, put that money away or put it in like an online account where it's not hard for you to get it immediately. Someone said Capital One. For the high yield savings account, there's American Express. Citibank has a good one as well. And I'll wrap with, we've already been talking about questions and we can continue doing so. I do want to make sure you all have my contact information. For Diana B and Company, accounting, CFO, and tax services, you can send me an email here. My QR code is broken, but for Fearless Brown Girls, if you know any high school girls that need to be in financial literacy classes, and they do, send us an email. We have a workshop next Saturday on the 26th, and so that's what that QR code was for, registration for that. But I'm still around for any questions that you all may have.
I had a question. I need to turn on my light. Um, uh, about like CDs. Is that something that people should invest in as well? I remember hearing about it when I was younger in like high school and things.
I'm gonna be honest, I am not familiar with CDs to answer that question. But I will talk to someone at your bank or a financial advisor. And let me say this about when I say talk to someone at your bank. Again, thinking about people who look like us, people who that would be invested in you doing well. you want to create those type of relationships. And if you are at a bank where you can go in and talk to someone, then we might need to switch banks. I also have a couple of referrals when it comes to financial advisors that I don't mind sharing. You all can email me and I'll share this presentation if it can be distributed out, but you all can email me and I don't mind referring those people to you as well. But you have to get help and support. So I love that y'all are asking these questions. And again, to our younger ladies that are here, get the support now. Because to Ms. Webb's point, if you start now in your 20s, it's so many decisions. I'm 37. It's so many decisions that I wish I had made at 27. 17 at this point, because that's how old I was when I went to college. And so you just out here living and you don't realize how quickly time is going to go by. The reality is that time is going to pass us by, whether we are being intentional about it or not. So be intentional about your money, if nothing else.
I was gonna say too, just piggybacking off of that, when we were uh their age, we weren't getting paid like that. So now that you have the opportunity and just talking about the Roth IRA as an ex-tax professional,
Mhm.
I would say if you are single and you have a high income, do it and contribute because it will lessen your taxes.
Yes.
There is a max that you can contribute to claim on your taxes, but I would highly advise that you would do that.
Thank you for that.
And
Any
Ms. Williams, I will also say this 401k game, you need to be doing at minimum the match that your company offers.
Oh yeah.
There are so many more options available to you guys than there were to my generation. And I'm not going to give advice other than to say I am going to give advice, but I'm not a financial person. If you have the 401k option in your 401k plan, you need to be investing in that. I truly believe that because we don't know what our tax rate is going to be when we turn 62, 65. And if you pay those taxes now, it may not decrease your taxable income, but you will be able to keep your money, all of that money, at the point you decide to retire and need that money. And that's a great safety net to have.
Absolutely. And just to add context, if you all aren't familiar with what it means for your company to add a match. So some companies do 3% to 6% matching. And what that means is up until that percentage, whatever that dollar amount is for you and that contribution to your 401k, they will match it dollar for dollar or whatever the rules are at your company. So you'll have to find that out. So that's free money that's being contributed to your retirement account that is also getting invested based off of how you have it set up that could be growing. So at minimum, contribute to the amount that they will match. And if you can do more, that's great, but you definitely want to get those dollars that your company's willing to pay. And a story I can tell you really quickly, because I'm a tax professional, I have an older couple who has done really, really well with this. They have so much money coming in that they have a very high tax bill because of the money that they have saved and contributed over the years. And now in retirement, they have hundreds of thousands of dollars of income coming in. So they don't have to go to work. They can just relax, take care of themselves. There's going to be money left to hand off to their children and their grandchildren because of the things that they have set up at the age that we all are now, or some of you even prior to me. And so don't leave here and just say, oh, that was good. I'm gonna do that. Actually put a plan in place, put it on your calendar, again, your money dates, and set some time with yourself to really set some of these things up because it's important. And even as the market is shifting, you'll see your 401k balance go down. It's gonna go back up. It's okay. Leave your money there and go enjoy life. And when you get older, you're going to be very grateful that you did. And someone said, and add your bonuses as well. Yes, those very large bonuses that we get one time a year, same thing. Make sure that you're leveraging those as well. And also do not withdraw early. Yes, that's a mistake that I made. I would leave jobs and I'm like, let me take my money out real quick because I needed to. And now I'm like, girl, what were you doing? So we're not saying anything, or let me talk about myself. I'm not telling you all anything that I have not done or probably made the mistake. And so that's the importance again of talking about this so that you know you're not alone and that other people have experienced it too. So that's the end of my presentation, Marilla. I will hand it back to you.
Thank you, Diana, for coming on and dropping these nuggets. We really, really appreciate it. This was great. I did acknowledge our chapter president, Sarah Bridget Herron Williams, earlier, but I did want her to come on and address the audience if she's so chooses. I think she's still on. I think.
Hey there.
Yeah, I was like, I think she's still on.
Yes. Thank you, Diana, for all of those nuggets. This was absolutely wonderful. And thank you to each of you for just engaging the way that you have this evening. And we are just excited and looking forward to what life has in store for each of you, regardless of your age. But again, Diana, thank you so very much for being here with us this evening. And thank you to our PP&D committee for having Diana with us this evening.
Thank you. And I did want to just one housekeeping item. Next week, we will have another session for retirement planning, same time at 7 p.m. So if you have not registered, please do so. And again, Diana, thank you. This was awesome. And of course, everyone, she gave you her contact information. So if you want to reach out to her individually, she'll be happy to help. And thank you all for joining and participating and asking great questions.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, everyone, have a good night.
Good night.
All right,
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night.